金发碧眼的外国女孩啊，正在攻占国内各大城市的相亲角。
Blonde, blue-eyed foreign women are taking over matchmaking corners in major Chinese cities, and the first to be impacted are older single Chinese women. Recently, matchmaking corners in first and second-tier cities have seen an influx of women from Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, holding signs that say, "No bride price, just want to marry a Chinese man." For instance, at Beijing's Zhongshan Park Matchmaking Corner, a Russian woman born in 2000 was advertising herself with a sign stating she's a Peking University master's graduate, owns 2 villas and a farm in Russia, and is now looking for a reliable Chinese boyfriend without requiring a bride price. Similarly, at a matchmaking corner in Chengdu, a Russian woman who owns a house and a car only asks for a symbolic bride price of 8,800 yuan. These foreign, white, rich, and beautiful women have instantly disrupted China's marriage market, as they typically have high education, good looks, and high incomes, speak multiple languages, and have largely adapted to Chinese culture and customs. Most importantly, they rarely demand a bride price, only seeking a reliable, loving partner. Naturally, Chinese men and their parents are thrilled about this. At Shanghai's People's Park, a mother looking for a daughter-in-law said, "Local women demand a car, a house, and at least 380,000 yuan as a bride price, while foreign women are younger, have better qualities, and don't demand a bride price. Of course, we're more willing to choose foreign women. However, older single Chinese women are starting to panic." A quick search on social media shows many demanding that foreign women get out of China's matchmaking market. Some accuse them of disrupting the fairness of the matchmaking market, while others target Chinese men, saying they're not good enough for Chinese women and are now relying on foreign women to lift them out of poverty. Yet these remarks can't stop the surge of cross-border marriages. In today's marriage market, cross-border marriages are becoming increasingly popular because in the eyes of Chinese men, foreign women are not only exceptional but are typically aged 20 to 25, with many holding master's or doctoral degrees, and have minimal demands. Cars and houses aren't strict requirements. As long as the man is reliable, some are even willing to contribute financially. In the eyes of foreign women, Chinese men are equally outstanding, filial, family-oriented, and renowned for doting on their wives, without the machismo of Japanese or Korean men or the violent tendencies of some other countries. They're definitely top-tier men. That's why they're willing to bring their own dowry to marry in China. In contrast, China's current marriage market seems somewhat distorted. Data shows that in 2024, national marriage registrations were only 6.106 million, nearly half of what they were a decade ago, while the birth rate has been declining yearly, with fewer than 10 million newborns since 2022. There are at least 30 million bachelors in China unable to find partners, a key reason being that older single Chinese women have been overly inflated by societal expectations, demanding that men provide financial support and constant emotional value, regardless of their own qualities, with a bride price of hundreds of thousands and fully paid cars and houses as near mandatory requirements. Thus, they can't comprehend why foreign women don't demand bride prices, cars, or houses. In their view, with more men than women and more bachelors than single women, women should hold the upper hand in the marriage market and can demand more conditions. But they didn't anticipate that some Chinese single men have chosen to opt out of responsibility, no longer seeing marriage and children as mandatory, while others have embraced cross-border marriages. The current matchmaking market has a male-to-female ratio of an astonishing 150 to 1, making older single women the more anxious group. That said, while cross-border marriages are growing in popularity, they remain a niche choice in the overall marriage market. The real reason young people hesitate to enter marriage is the soaring housing prices, rising living costs, and an uncertain future. If these issues aren't fundamentally addressed, China's marriage market will likely remain distorted. At matchmaking events across China, more and more foreign women from Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and other countries have appeared in search of marriage. What stands out is that many of them say they don't require a bride price. This immediately stirred controversy. Some Chinese women criticized them, saying, "They only want a Chinese green card, and once they get it, they'll leave you." But male netizens responded in defense. "If she marries me without asking for a bride price and without taking my property, then what's wrong if she wants a green card?" On the other hand, women who don't want a green card still demand 188,000 or 88,000 yuan as a bride price, and many divorces still happen within a few years. Isn't that even worse? Others argued that the arrival of foreign women marrying into China is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it could help reduce the toxic culture of extravagant bride prices and break the unhealthy trend of social comparison. After all, China itself is a multi-ethnic country with 56 recognized ethnic groups, so welcoming people from other backgrounds is not a problem. On the contrary, it shows the openness and inclusiveness of Chinese society.
外国女孩正在攻占国内各大城市的相亲角。
In major Chinese cities, foreign women are increasingly appearing at matchmaking corners, drawing widespread attention. The first group to feel threatened by this trend turned out to be the older single women within China. Matchmaking corners in first- and second-tier cities have recently seen a large influx of young women from Russia, Ukraine, Vietnam, Iran, and other countries. What surprises people is that many of them do not demand a bride price at all. Instead, they simply want a reliable Chinese man to marry. For example, at the matchmaking corner in Beijing's Zhongshan Park, a Russian beauty born in 2000 stood with a card introducing herself. On the card it was written that she held a master's degree from Peking University, owned 2 villas and a farm back in Russia, and was now seeking a trustworthy Chinese boyfriend. Importantly, she required no bride price. Similarly, in a matchmaking corner in Chengdu, another Russian woman who already owned her own house and car only asked for a symbolic bride price of 8,800 yuan. The arrival of these foreign women, many of whom are highly educated, attractive, financially independent, multilingual, and already familiar with Chinese customs, has instantly set off waves in China's marriage market. The key point is that the vast majority of them ask for no bride price whatsoever. They only hope to find a dependable man who will love and care for his wife. Naturally, Chinese men and their parents are delighted. One mother in Shanghai, searching for a wife for her son, remarked, "Local girls not only demand a car and a house, but also at least 380,000 yuan in bride price. Compared to them, foreign girls are younger, have better conditions, and do not ask for such things. Of course, we are more willing to accept foreign daughters-in-law." But on the other hand, many older unmarried women in China have become anxious. On social media, one can easily find posts calling for foreign women to get out of the matchmaking market, accusing them of destroying fairness. Some even direct criticism toward Chinese men themselves, saying that their conditions are not good enough to match Chinese women, and now they are looking to foreign brides for help. Yet these complaints have not slowed the rise of cross-border marriages. Statistics prove the point. In 2024, the number of marriage registrations nationwide dropped to 6.106 million couples, nearly half of what it was 10 years ago. Meanwhile, cross-border marriages surged by 63%. In Yunnan, marriages between local men and Burmese women increased sixfold in just 3 years. In Anhui, cross-border marriages multiplied 6 times as well. Despite the fact that there's still around 100 million single women in China, many Chinese men are choosing to cross language and cultural barriers to marry foreign wives.
Why?
Because the reality of the domestic marriage market is brutal. At matchmaking corners in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, men without a house or car cannot even qualify to participate. Even if a man manages to buy property and a vehicle, women will still scrutinize his education level, height, and savings. A man earning 5,000 yuan a month is considered bottom tier in China's marriage market. Yet, if that same man goes to Southeast Asia, he instantly becomes a high-income elite. Even more disheartening, in some parts of China, after paying 300,000 yuan in bride price, providing a house, and handing over his salary, what a man may receive in return is just 3 quilts as dowry. By contrast, in Guangxi, an ordinary man like Old Wang was able to marry a Ukrainian woman who speaks 3 languages. In Yunnan, statistics show that in 8 out of 10 weddings, the bride is a foreigner. New government policies have further fueled this trend by removing household registration restrictions and simplifying the paperwork for cross-border marriages. Behind the figure of 700,000 foreign brides entering China lies the undeniable force of economic reality. China's fertility rate has been declining sharply. In 2022, the number of newborns dropped below 10 million for the first time. Today, there are at least 30 million unmarried men in China who cannot find partners. One key reason is that older unmarried women within the country, heavily influenced by materialism and capital, set requirements that are increasingly difficult to meet. They expect men not only to provide financially, but also to constantly meet emotional needs. Regardless of their own circumstances, demands such as a 100,000 yuan bride price and full payment for a house and car have become almost mandatory. As a result, many cannot understand why foreign women would ask for no bride price or property at all. In their view, because there are more men than women in China, women should naturally hold the advantage in the marriage market and be able to demand more. But what they fail to see is that a significant portion of single Chinese men have chosen to opt out, no longer regarding marriage and children as life's necessities, while another portion has already embraced cross-border marriages. Currently, the gender ratio in some matchmaking markets has reached 1 man to 50 women, leaving older single women in a more anxious position than ever before. Even so, it must be acknowledged that while cross-border marriages are gaining momentum, they still represent only a small fraction of the overall market. The real obstacles preventing young people in China from marrying are still the same: soaring housing prices, skyrocketing living costs, and an uncertain future. Unless these fundamental issues are resolved, the crisis in China's marriage market will only continue. During a brief street interview, a man asked a young woman, "In your opinion, what kind of Chinese man would be ideal for you to date?" She replied, "I want to find someone with a strong sense of responsibility." "Oh, there are many responsible men in China," the interviewer noted before asking, and of course, he must treat me well," she added. Curious, the interviewer asked, "How old are you?" "I am 24 years old this year," she answered. 24. You were born in 2001? "So, what age range are you looking for in a man?" he continued. "I'm looking for someone under the age of 30, she specified. "Under 30, got it," the interviewer said with a laugh. "Do you have any preferences regarding his hometown? For instance, should he be from somewhere near our Yunnan or Guangxi?" The young woman concluded, "I don't have any specific requirements about where he's from."
日常吐槽客户节目又来了，我觉得我有时候挣的是咨询费。
It's time for my daily customer rant. Sometimes I feel like I'm earning consulting fees. Other times, it's compensation for mental distress. Today, a client came to me for a consultation, and before we even started, I wanted to tell him to get lost. This guy had a ton of issues, seriously annoying. I thought to myself, this guy's definitely going to be a difficult client, and after the consultation, I'm sure I wouldn't meet his expectations. Here's what happened. He sent me an Alipay password red packet. Honestly, I sometimes get clients sending these red packets, and I find them such a hassle. Normally, a red packet password is just a string of numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this guy sent me a picture. I was super busy and didn't have time to look closely, so I copied and pasted the content from the picture into Alipay, but it didn't work. So I told him, "I can't find your red packet. Just send me the numbers." He replied that I entered it wrong and sent the numbers, adding, "What I sent you were numbers." I sent a received emoji and told him I'd be free after 3:30 or 4:30 p.m. But he asked, Why can't you just enter yourself? I explained that copy pasting didn't work, and he said, then type it manually. I replied, got it. Let's not dwell on this. And he called me lazy. I fired back a bunch of question marks, and he said what he sent was also copied and pasted, asking why I insisted he type it out for me. I said, why are you so hung up on this trivial thing? He said it was weird, and I asked, what are you even here for? Aren't you here for a consultation? You sent the money, I got it, so let's move on. He actually said I had a bad attitude and needed to be served like this. I was so mad I told him on WeChat, get lost, you're too much trouble. This was my first time dealing with such a nitpicky client. I've had difficult clients before, but they usually just ask tons of questions during payment. I'll admit my temper isn't great because I have thousands of contacts on WeChat. If everyone bugs me over tiny things like this, I get nothing done all day. This client hadn't even started the consultation and was fixated on why I didn't enter the password myself, saying I'm hard to please. Come on, who's the difficult one here? I was so frustrated my blood pressure shot up. Honestly, I'm picky about clients. I don't take on difficult ones. This guy came to me for matchmaking advice, and in all my years of consulting, I've never met anyone like him. He's the first to hassle me over something so minor. Normally, we use WeChat, Alipay, or bank transfers. Who has time to deal with password red packets? If I had taken this job, done the consultation, and accepted his money, I'd surely get a bad review, with him saying I didn't provide useful info and demanding a refund. I can already hear him saying, how are you so unprofessional? Later, I tried refunding him via WeChat, and he said he couldn't receive it. I said, buddy, I can't deal with you. Send me an Alipay account, and I'll refund you. Sure, I'm in the service industry, but I don't take every client or chase every penny. With troublesome clients like this, I'm scared of what other issues might pop up later. I've got a bad temper, and if you do too, go find a consultant with a better temper. Don't come to me, it's really not worth it. I'm not the type to treat you like a king just because you pay me. You paid 299 yuan, not 29,000. Don't expect to be treated like a god. We're equals. You pay, I provide a service, that's it. Don't act all high and mighty, saying I'm hard to please. I was swamped. Where was I supposed to find time to figure out his password? This guy got me so mad my head was about to explode. Sure, I didn't make money on this, but I really can't handle clients like him. Just venting here because every day online, I deal with all sorts of weirdos. It's hard to even describe. If you're 38 years old, stop dreaming like you're 20. At 20, you can bet on tomorrow with your youth, demanding looks, education, anything you want because you have plenty of time, 21, 22, 23 years old, right? But at 38, you're still chasing those dreams? The other day, a woman said she earns 300,000 yuan a year and wants a man earning 400,000 yuan a year. She has 3 properties and demands a man with 4. She's a PhD or master's graduate and expects the man to be the same. If it were me, I'd definitely choose someone in their 20s. When you buy vegetables, you pick the fresh ones, not the old leftover ones, right? It's human nature to choose the younger option. If I'm picking a son-in-law, I'd definitely go for someone young, not someone older, right? Honestly, there are 3 candidates now, Chen Yuan, Tu Long, and another one. Tu Long is the most suitable son-in-law because he has a good face and appearance matters. Thanks, that's my opinion.
不退彩礼就死这儿。男子花了15万彩礼，娶了个二婚。
The story begins with a shocking and desperate ultimatum. Return the bride price, or I'll die right here. This was the cry of an enraged father after his son spent 150,000 renminbi to marry a divorced woman, only to be trapped in what appeared to be a sophisticated romance and financial scam. The saga centers on a 40-year-old man, lonely after a failed marriage and deeply desiring a child his first wife could not give him. Feeling the sting of solitude, he sought help from a matchmaker who, coincidentally, introduced him to a great beauty with a stunning figure. He was captivated from their very first meeting, and the relationship progressed at a whirlwind pace. Thanks to her sweet talk, attentiveness, and an overt openness to intimacy, they moved in together in less than 2 months. As soon as they were living together, the woman strategically pushed for marriage. When the man hesitated, feeling things were moving too fast, she skillfully manipulated him, accusing him of being irresponsible and threatening to break up. Terrified of losing her, he agreed. It was then that she dropped her bombshell demand, a 150,000 renminbi bride price. He initially refused, arguing that such formalities were unnecessary since they were both remarrying. However, she launched a gentle offensive, promising that if he indulged her this one time, she would not only handle all the housework but, most importantly, fulfill his deepest wish by bearing him a child. This promise was his ultimate vulnerability, and he softened, agreeing to her terms. Having paid the full 150,000 renminbi and even held a wedding banquet, the man's dream of a happy family quickly turned into a nightmare. Immediately after the wedding, his new wife's attitude did a complete 180-degree turn. She began avoiding intimacy, claiming she was sick, and then used this feigned illness to ask for another 10,000 renminbi for medical treatment. Still believing her, he paid. Over the next half-month, she continued to find new excuses to ask for more money, while completely neglecting her wifely duties and the promised housework. When he finally refused to give her any more cash, her true intentions were revealed. She immediately and coldly demanded a divorce, leaving no room for negotiation. It was only then that the man had the devastating realization he had been scammed by a professional gold digger. He agreed to the divorce on one condition: the full bride price must be returned. She flatly refused and promptly ran back to her parents' house. Fearing her family would disappear with his life savings, the man's father heroically stepped in. He stormed into the woman's family home, caused a massive scene, and delivered his chilling threat: "If you don't return the money, I will die right here and haunt your entire family as a ghost." In response, the woman's family tried to escalate the situation by calling the police, hoping to have him arrested for illegal trespassing. However, the authorities correctly identified the situation as a family dispute rather than a criminal act. After a period of police mediation, a resolution was reached. The woman's family agreed to return 90,000 renminbi. The narrator concludes the dramatic tale by turning it into a cautionary lesson for the audience, asking them to ponder whether a bride price is appropriate for a second marriage, whether the father's extreme actions were justified, and what they would have done if caught in the same heartbreaking predicament. As our journey through today's stories comes to a close, what remains is perhaps not just surprise or controversy, but a panoramic view of the complexities of love and marriage in modern Chinese society. We've witnessed a marriage market that is transforming into a battleground of expectations, where financial pressures, the weight of the bride price, and the anxieties of age weigh heavily on both men and women. The arrival of foreign brides is not the cause of this phenomenon, but rather a symptom, a mirror reflecting the fractures that have long existed. It reveals a deep-seated desire to escape the cycle of material demands and return to more fundamental human values. And perhaps the most profound lesson here isn't about who is right or wrong, the man exhausted by the financial burden, or the woman anxious about her future. The lesson is a powerful reminder that we're searching for a life partner, not a business partner. We have somehow forgotten how to see the true value of a person, something that cannot be measured by a bank balance, the number of properties owned, or even by age. True value lies in the kindness shown when a partner is weary, in the understanding offered during a disagreement, and in the mutual respect for each other's dreams. It is found in sincere conversations, not in tense negotiations. The story of the bride price scam serves as a painful warning of what happens when we allow materialism to completely eclipse character. Here on Chinese Emotion, we explore the feelings that shape our lives. And today, I hope we can all recognize that to heal this marriage market, we must first begin to heal the way we see value in each other. What do you think about this? What is the greatest pressure you face in your own love life? Please share your stories and thoughts in the comments below. Every story is a piece of the puzzle that helps us better understand this emotional landscape. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join me in exploring more meaningful stories. Because at the end of the day, no matter where we are from, the heart seeks not a contract, but a home.